Hey people, it is almost time for the superhero movie battle of 2012. We've got three major superhero movies coming out this year, and I'm very excited to see all of them. But before I transition into that, I want to give a conclusion for last year's superhero movie battle, because I realized I never did that. If you watch my reviews for all four of those movies, it's kind of apparent which one I think is the best, but I did promise that I'd do like direct comparisons, box office results, critic reviews, all of that. So I know it's rather late, but I figure better late than never, so I do want to give you all that conclusion. So let's get started with the box office results. In fourth place, we have Green Lantern with $219,851,172. In third place, we have X-Men First Class with $353,624,124. In second place, we have Captain America with $368,608,363. And in first place, we have Thor with $449,326,618. So Thor is the clear winner there by a large margin. Now let's take a look at what the critics on Rotten Tomatoes have to say. In fourth place, once again, with 27% is Green Lantern. In third place is Thor with 77%. In second place is Captain America with 79%. In first place, X-Men First Class with 87%. So, X-Men First Class, clear winner by a wide margin. Now, before I reveal my choice for overall best superhero movie of 2011, I want to give out certain awards for the movies I think did the best job in specific important areas, starting with Best Action. Without a doubt, Thor wins the award for Best Action. My criticism of Thor's action, though, is that the Frost Giant fight scene is the best action scene in the movie, and after that it all goes downhill and is kind of disappointing. However, the Frost Giant fight scene easily puts to shame every other fight scene and action scene that was in the other three superhero movies last year. So definitely I think Thor easily wins this award. As for Best Comedy, I have to give that one to Thor as well. There are just so many funny moments in Thor. I mean, X-Men First Class has its laughs, definitely. Captain America has a few laughs as well. Green Lantern, it's surprising. They made comedy such a high priority for it, yet I didn't really laugh that much. But Thor, it just keeps the laughs rolling, especially once he leaves Asgard. The action goes way downhill after that, but the comedy goes way up. There are so many funny interactions, like when Thor's in the coffee shop or when he walks into the pet store. Just a lot of great funny moments with that, so Thor definitely gets that for me. Now for Best Love Story. This is another choice that was pretty easy for me. I chose Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter from Captain America, partly because I didn't feel the competition was very steep this year, honestly. In fourth place for Love Story, I will give X-Men First Class, giving Green Lantern a break on this, because in X-Men First Class, they have this relationship between Charles Xavier and Moira McTaggart, but it wasn't very developed. At the end of the movie, you have a moment where Charles kisses Moira and he erases her memory, which would be emotional and tragic if they had developed it so you felt that this was a man who had fallen in love with a woman and he was going to have to live with that memory while she doesn't know who he is. That would be pretty good, but there was very little done with them, and I feel like maybe they had planned to develop that more originally, but things got cut. I don't know, but it seems like there's just a lot missing there, and they could have developed it really well, but that time got spent on other things. And X-Men First Class, still a good movie, so I don't really blame them, but if they wanted to put that in there, they should have done a little bit better. Green Lantern has the relationship between Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris, and they have their backstory together. They've known each other since they were children, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there is a story there, which is more than X-Men First Class gave us, but it's just not very well done, and it's not very interesting. It feels pretty generic. Thor. Thor meets Jane Foster, and she immediately thinks he's a very strange guy, and all of a sudden she starts to fall for him, and we're not really seeing what causes her to fall for him, because Thor is big and strong, he's good looking and all that, but he's just kind of this odd guy. And another fault is that Thor doesn't really undergo much of a transformation, or they don't really show why he would undergo much of a transformation, but we're not really shown why this very sophisticated person would just fall over herself because of this guy that she meets who's just very strange. So yeah, Thor's love story wasn't terrible. It's just that when you think about it, it doesn't really make that much sense, and the story wasn't that well done or well written. Captain America, though, is a reasonably well done story, even if you compare it to some of the best superhero movie love stories that there are out there, like the Spider-Man Mary Jane thing, Bruce Wayne, Rachel Dawes, Superman and Lois Lane, just kind of like the legendary ones. I think it holds its own, and holds its own against like action movies and just blockbusters in general, because it's really pretty well done. We start off with Steve, and he's this scrawny guy. When he goes out with Bucky, he's pretty much ignored by these women. And when he meets Peggy, she has a job to do, so she just sees him as this little guy. But when she starts to talk to him, she sees that this is really a great guy here. He's in the car, he's telling her this story about how he gets beaten up and how he doesn't want to run away because that's just not how he does things. If you start running, they'll never let you stop. And she sees him throughout training when he gets through the obstacle courses and he dives on the grenade and proves that he's really a brave guy. So by the time he goes to have the super soldier procedure done on him, she already cares about him and thinks he's a great guy. And you can see that when he is in the like transformation chamber and things are looking dangerous, looking like this might risk Steve's life, and she's like, shut it off, because she cares about him then. And I think that's probably part of the strongest part of their relationship, that section there. But it continues throughout, and it's decent. There's not that much focus put on it until really the end. I mean, there's some jealousy throughout, with Steve kind of feeling a little bit insecure and Peggy feeling insecure. But when you get to the end, we have this great moment with Steve talking to Peggy when he thinks he's about to die and she thinks he's about to die. And it's emotional, and I think that was a great scene because as fans, we know that Steve is going to live through this, but you also know that even though he does live, they're not going to be together. This is the end for them, and them making this date that you know they'll never be able to go on. It's kind of a very tragic love story that these two people find each other, and they care about each other, and they're just going to be separated. And Peggy, I don't know if she's going to spend her entire life just wishing that Steve could have made it through. And at the end, we do see this moment with Peggy, and she's looking at this picture of Steve, and it's not Super Soldier Steve, the impressive person that everyone's attracted to. It's the scrawny Steve from the training camp. So she really cared about him as a person. So I think that really kind of brought it all together and was a nice end to Peggy's feelings for Steve. And then Steve at the end saying that he had a date kind of drives home part of the tragedy of what this event was for Captain America. It's like, yay, you get to live through this, but everything you know is gone. The woman you love isn't there anymore for you. So it does kind of suck. My choice for best casting choice and best hero goes to Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. Not to belittle any of the other actors. Chris Hemsworth did a great job as Thor, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, both great, but Chris Evans had the particular challenge of playing Steve Rogers, which meant he had to be this scrawny guy who was the underdog that you want to cheer for and see get something good after he struggled so long, as well as the super soldier, the hero that you can believe in and really cheer for and think that you would follow. And he's able to play both of these characters and blend them together so that it doesn't feel like an unnatural transition, because you see once Steve has become the super soldier, he's been this great guy all along, and he only needed the means to be this hero that you see now. I believe Chris Evans' performance is what helped to make Steve Rogers into probably the most compelling protagonist of the 4 superhero movies that came out last summer. For Best Villain, I choose Sebastian Shaw, and I know it's probably a very surprising choice to some of you, but I think it's justifiable. Sebastian Shaw from the beginning is set up as this very sinister character from what he does to Eric, and he does some very evil things throughout the movie, and he's very powerful and manipulative, but it's not just him as a character or Kevin Bacon's performance which I think puts this character as the best villain of last year. I think it's how he's used in a broader context as this tool for foreshadowing what Eric is going to become, because we see Shaw set up as this terrible villain and the person Eric hates the most. And by the time you see the end of it, when Eric takes Shaw's own helmet and takes over Shaw's former group of people, it shows that Eric has become the person he hates the most. And I think that that is one of the best things about First Class, in my personal opinion, how they had that journey for Eric. So Sebastian Shaw wasn't just this evil character for them to fight. He was kind of a symbol of this internal struggle that Magneto went through in becoming the bad guy. For Best Supporting Actor, I chose Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I know a lot of you probably would have chosen Loki as the best villain of last summer, and you can probably make a very supporting argument, and I understand. But personally, I believe that Loki is in a somewhat similar position to Eric in X-Men First Class, where he's not fully that villain that we all know him as. This is kind of the story of Loki finally becoming that full-on villain. And Tom Hiddleston is able to establish Loki as this very sympathetic character because you can tell he's in pain because he feels unappreciated and unloved, and you understand why he'd be jealous of Thor and want to lash out at him because Thor is the popular one. He's embraced by his friends. He's going to inherit the throne. He has everything that Loki wants. Even in their little group of friends with the Warriors 3 and Sif, you can tell that they don't really embrace Loki that much and that Loki's probably felt out of place his entire life. So when he learns the truth about himself, it's very painful for him and a shocker, but at the same time, it probably makes a little bit of sense to him. So I think Loki was interesting to watch in this movie, and he will be very interesting to see as he moves forward in the full-on villain role in Avengers, and this was great that they gave him that developed backstory here. My only problem with the portrayal of Loki is when he is going to kill Thor with the Destroyer armor. I would have had it be more of an internal struggle for him, and that be that defining moment, will he choose good, will he choose evil? And when he finally does it, I would have had it be more him lashing out in anger than a calculated, cold move. So it's kind of that defining twist of, yes, this is Loki finally becoming evil, there's no turning back now. Although 3 out of these 4 movies have things that they do very well, I have to choose one as the overall best superhero movie of 2011. And for that, I choose X-Men First Class. There are several reasons why I'd give the award for the best superhero movie of last year to X-Men First Class. First, it's really just kind of a gut feeling. X-Men First Class feels the most complete, the most well-rounded, the most like it really lived up to its potential. Not really as a movie about Charles Xavier's first class of mutants that he teaches, but as a movie focused on Charles Xavier's first meeting with Eric Letcher and how their relationship kind of evolves and they become enemies. That aspect of the movie is really where the attention went, and it delivered on that, I believe. Like I said in my review, I think that they kind of sacrificed the story of potential sequels just to make this one really good, and they could have expanded on that relationship and developed it over 3 movies possibly, but I can't really fault X-Men First Class for how well they did that relationship. And I feel like Eric Lencher's character is just very well done in that movie, and I think people are going to be excited to see him return as a full-on villain in the future. Another reason I really think that X-Men First Class kind of takes the award is that of all the movies that came out last year, it feels like the one that you can hand to a very snobby movie critic who's like, oh, I hate superhero movies, they're all the same, and really make an argument for why this is something different, something fresh, and is very watchable to someone who might not be very into comic books. And for us who know X-Men, it is kind of bothersome to see, oh, well, this isn't Xavier's first class of mutants, and this conflicts with the storyline that they've had in the other movies. But if you watch it as a movie on its own, just as a movie, it's pretty strong. So I know that X-Men First Class is a comic book adaptation. That's a way that you have to judge it. But I think that the movie on itself is strong enough that it beats out Captain America and Thor, and obviously beats out Green Lantern because that's really not even in contention. But, you know, time will tell. I might change my opinion 5 years down the road as these movies kind of age and I say, wow, Captain America really aged better than I thought it would, or Thor really stands the test of time, and X-Men First Class is not as good as I thought it was originally. So This is my conclusion to the superhero movie Battle of 2011, but who knows? It's not really a conclusive, factual. X-Men First Class is the definite best movie of last year. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, so if you have strong feelings about it, please express it in the comments. But thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time.